Okay, so today we will be talking about Grand Seiko redials. So first I'm gonna show you a bad redial which is easy to identify. So there are like multiple things that are wrong and easy to spot with. After that I'm gonna show you a very good redial. The redial which is very hard to actually spot and figure out that's a redial. And after that we're gonna talk about like should you own a redialed watch, and would you enjoy a redialed watch even if you paid less. Okay, so keep watching. So about 3 years ago, I bought this watch. And at that time, I don't know, maybe I'm sure that there were like really good redials, but all the redials that I've seen available on the market were pretty easy to identify, and we would call them bad redials. Bad redial doesn't mean that it's not like visually attractive redial. It could be the dial could be like super attractive, but it's incorrect versus to what the proper dial for that model should be. So for example, so the very good example is about in the same time, like few days apart, when I bought this watch, another watch was sold with what I call a bad redial. What's interesting about that watch is that these two watches were sold at about the same time. It's the same model. It's just like this one has date, that one didn't have a date. But basically, it's the same model. They were sold like few days apart, and they were sold for almost the same price. So the difference is like maybe like 15 bucks. So let's see a difference between the watch that I purchased, which is original dial, and the watch that was sold, which is a redial. Okay, so the watch with the blue dial is a redial, and the watch with the white dial is actually the watch that I purchased. And for this exercise, we're just gonna use pictures provided by the seller. Usually, if you want to know if your watch is a redial, if your Grand Seiko, vintage Grand Seiko is a redial, you just compare them to high resolution pictures, let's say, that you find on the grandseikoguy.com. That's the best resource. But for this exercise, we're just gonna use pictures that provided by the seller that I use. Okay, so what's wrong with the blue watch? So first of all, if you research this model never came in the blue color. Some vintage Grand Seikos did come in the blue dial, but this one didn't. Also, even those that came in a blue dial, the color of blue was never such vibrant as you see here. That would be blue that's much more faded, almost kind of like black blue, never this vibrant. Now let's take a look at the text in the bottom of the dial. So you can see that this text on the redial, its text is above the minute markers, but on the original dial, the text is below the minute markers. Also, if you see where the left part starts, so on the redial, it starts at the correct place, but it ends almost touching 30-minute mark, where on the original dial, the text actually ends at 31-minute mark, and actually the right text actually starts at 29-minute mark, but on the redial it almost touches 30-minute mark. It ends correctly, but it starts incorrectly. Now, there used to be this rule that you were able to use to identify pretty much any Seiko redial. So if you look at that bottom text again, and you need to look at the letter A. So if this is R dial, then that letter A should have a sharp top. And if this is T dial, then that letter A should be kind of like a chair, should have very flat top. So in this case, this is T dial. So you see letter T over here. So we expect the A letter to have very flat top. Now, despite the very low resolution of both images, you can still say that A's on the blue dial have very sharp pointy top, but A's on the white original dial have a flat top. So that's an original dial, and clearly the blue dial is a redial. Now let's take a look at a very, very good redial. A redial is so good that it's just scary. So about a month ago, I saw this on my Instagram feed. And I kind of like I was following this guy for quite long time, not just on Instagram, but I know him from What You Seek and so on. So it's kind of a good, actually one of the few sellers that would tell you that that the watch is redialed. Very, very, very honest guy. But what's interesting about this, what I saw on Instagram is that he saw that it's a redial. He said on his Instagram post that it's a redial, and I'm like, what? No, it's not. It's not a redial. It's like everything's correct. Like, why is he saying that that's a redial? You know, and I started kind of zooming in, looking more. And by the way, that's the same model again. good example, right? And it's like it was impossible for me to say that maybe something felt slightly off, but like I saw nothing wrong in that picture. So I actually contacted him, and he actually sent me a few more pictures of his watch. So thank you you for that. Just for the purpose to make this video, and I actually appreciate for the picture that he sent for this video. So let's see. Let's compare his redial to the watch that we know is not a redialed. Now let's look at this redial. So you can see that everything's correct. So the color is correct. This model did came with the white dial. All the printing is correct. All the text is correct. All the writing in the bottom of the dial is located in the right place. If you look at the letter A's in the bottom of the dial, all the letters are correct because this is a T dial, and we see flat top A's. So everything's correct on this dial. One thing that they didn't get right is the thickness of the print on the redial. So if you look at the redial, the printing is much thicker than the printing on the original dial. So you can see it very easily, for example, if you look at the INI logo, like right in the middle of the INI logo where two parts connect. So you see on the redial there is still a pretty thick line, but on the original dial it's almost like hair thin, like it's almost like there is nothing there. Also, you can see in the middle of the letters A in the bottom of the dial. So you see that the middle of the A is there is almost no white space on the redial because the print is so thick. But on the original dial, there is still like pretty much a lot of white in the middle of the letter A. Also, you can see it in the number 8 in 8000, and you can see it on top of the number 6 in 36,000. Also, they didn't get the white coating on the redial right. So, and that's understandable because when they do a redial, they remove the original Seiko coating, which you see on the right. Actually, that's how the original coating looks like, and they just like repaint it with the white color, right? And that white color that they repainted is this like bright paper white that looks different than the original Grand Seiko coating. Also, for some reason, there is this sunburst effect that is not present on the original dial. Another thing that you want to see on the original dial that's not a redial, right, is the proof of aging, right? There should be some patina, some spots, some damage, and my watch has it. It's very hard to see it over here, but if you can notice around 10 o'clock, there is a spot. There is an aging spot. Okay, now let's talk about if it's okay to own a redialed watch, right? Because like many people think that they will pay less for the redialed watch, and it's gonna maybe it will look more attractive than the original slightly damaged dial. As we've seen in my first example, often redialed watches are sold for the same price as original watches. But is it okay, like if you actually paid less, or let's say if you paid significantly less, like should you own a redialed watch and will you enjoy it? Right, so things that I've seen. So let's think about let's look at this very good what I showed, very good redial, right? So it might be very hard to almost impossible to identify a very good redial comparing to what the original watch should be based on pictures, right? Based on like you go to like online listing and you try to figure out is the redial, is it not redial? Like if I can't tell if that's a redial or not, like will I do I bother, right? You do bother. You do bother because if you cannot tell based on pictures, it doesn't mean that you will not be able to tell, like it will look very, very different on your wrist. So a few things that will jump immediately when you actually put it on your wrist. So as we said, that white color is wrong. It's hard to identify, might be hard to identify it based on pictures, but when you actually look at this dial and you see that sunburst that shouldn't be sunburst, right? And you see this white that's actually like looks wrong white, right? It will bother you. Your watch will not look like original watch, and you will know it. But another very, very important thing is, even like imagine they would get like maybe sometime in the future, like 50 years from now, they will get perfect redials, right? Like it will look like how it left Seiko factory, right? What you will know, and so when you look at your watch like this, kind of most of what you see is dial, right? So when you admire your watch, you admire actually a dial. Now imagine if that watch was redialed by some like I don't know, like Bob from Ohio, right? So what you like when you look like this, the most what you see is actually creation, the masterpiece of the Bob from Ohio. Like, do you actually want to see the work of the Bob from Ohio? Right? No, you want to see the work from Seiko. You want to see original creation of the Seiko, even if it's aged, even if it has damage. It's honest, it's correct, and you know that it's honest. But now you just look at what Bob. Okay, maybe not Bob. Maybe like I know some like Tanaka-san from Osaka, but it's not Seiko, right? You want like real thing, and if you look at the redial watch, most of you see, like even if that's correct, most of what you see it's not Seiko creation, it's creation of somebody else, and you don't want that. You know that your watch is not real. You will be bothered by it. So first of all, you will be bothered by that wrong white, right? But even if they would fix all these issues that we still found, you will understand that it's like what you're looking at, it's not a real thing. It will, like, you will not enjoy that watch. So I would say do not pay less, pay a little bit more, get the original dial. If you cannot afford a little bit more, you want to pay less, just get yourself a damaged dial. There is beauty in damage, and it's a real thing. So don't get redials. Hopefully this video is educational, because like redials are so popular in vintage Grand Seiko community. This bothers me. And that watch will bother you. Okay, so if you found this video helpful and you want to see more videos about vintage watches, please press over here. I have a very cool channel about vintage watches. Please check it out, and please subscribe. There are already many videos, but there will be more. Okay, thank you, bye.